In what appears to be the 19th century, there is an isolated village in Pennsylvania in the middle of the forest. The story begins with them holding a funeral for the son of August Nicholson, one of the village elders. After the burial, all the villagers have lunch together, and the elder leader Edward Walker offers words of comfort. In the middle of the meal, some strange noises coming from the forest are heard, which makes Noah Percy, a man with a developmental disability, laugh and clap with excitement. Then we have a montage of the village's daily life. Everyone works together in harmony. Among their daily habits, we see them bury anything that is red and sending a man to a watchtower every night. In the water, we also see the reflection of a mysterious hooded figure passing by and wearing red. One morning, Edward approaches the school, since he is the teacher there, and finds the children outside in a circle. They are looking at the body of an animal, bloody and hairless. The children swear that they did not bring it there. Everyone goes inside, and Edward asks his class who could have committed such an atrocious act. The children answer, "Those of whom we do not speak, because they are carnivorous monsters." Edward tells them that it makes no sense since the village has a truce with them. They do not enter their forest, and the monsters, in return, do not enter the village. That afternoon, the village elders hold a meeting. They are discussing possible festivities when Lucius Hunt, son of the elder Alice Hunt, requests to see them. Lucius has written what he wants to say and proceeds to read it, after assuring them that his mother has nothing to do with this. He says that the death of the child has weighed on his thoughts, so he wants permission to cross the forest and go to other towns in order to acquire some new medicines. He believes the monsters will not attack him because the creatures can sense emotions and Lucius is pure of intention. The request is denied. Later that night, Alice asks him what he is thinking about. He only says that he is going to keep a friend company in the watchtower. The night guard is Finton Coin. Lucius joins him there and asks him what he thinks of other towns. Finton replies that they are evil places where evil people live. He also thanks Lucius for having come, since he was not supposed to be there. The next morning, another hairless animal body is found in the village. The elders hold a meeting with the villagers and tell them that it must be some predator such as a coyote or a wolf that suffers from madness. It could not have been those of whom we do not speak because they are quite large. They would have known that they were in the village. On the way home after the meeting, Edward talks with his daughter Kitty. She mentions that she is in love and wants permission to marry. Edward seems displeased with the fact that the boy is not there with her to ask properly. Kitty explains that she has not even asked the boy yet because she wants his blessing before saying anything and mentions the identity of the boy, Lucius. Edward gives them his blessing. Kitty rushes to meet Lucius and confesses her love. Lucius rejects her, so Kitty returns to her home and spends the night crying in the lap of her blind sister Ivy while she sings to her. Meanwhile, Lucius gathers firewood and takes it to August's house, where August wonders if his son and Lucius had bonded because neither of them spoke much, and also calls him kind. At the same time, on the outskirts of the village, a group of boys is playing a bravery game. You must stand on a stump, with your back to the forest and your arms outstretched, and see how long you can last before getting scared. The current player swears that he hears noises in the forest, but stays in his place. Returning to Lucius, August tells him that one can run away from sadness, but sadness will find you anyway because it can smell you like a dog. Then he looks at a mysterious black box in the corner. Then we return to the boys, who finally flee the place when the noises turn out to be too much. Morning arrives and Ivy is called to take care of Noah, who is hitting other boys with a stick. He stops as soon as she asks him to, and then she takes him to see a special house in which they will lock him up if he does not listen. They reach an agreement, and he promises that he will not hit anyone again. Now that everything is over, they decide to spend time together running up the hill to the resting rock. Noah asks her not to cheat, but she distracts him and does it anyway. They reach the rock and find Lucius already there. He shares a snack with them, and Ivy tells him how much her sister cried when he rejected her. She also explains that she could tell Lucius was there because a handful of people give off a very faint color. Her father has it too. When Noah suddenly leaves to chase a bird, Lucius tells Ivy that she runs like a child. She thanks him for that and then confesses that she knows why he rejected her sister. He likes Ivy. She knows because he stopped touching her a few years ago. Noah returns and plays a prank on Ivy by putting a small toad in her hand. After that, he takes some red berries out of his pocket and also puts them in her hand. She smiles, enjoying the gift, until Lucius points out that she has the bad color in her hand that attracts those of whom we do not speak, and she says they should bury them. But now Lucius is worried because he had never seen those berries before, and Noah already had them in his pocket before they arrived. He asks him where he found them. Noah takes him there. Hours later, Lucius is once again reading one of his letters to the elders. He tells them about the berries that Noah found near a drawing on the resting rock, which means that Noah has been entering the forest all this time without anything happening to him. This reinforces his belief that the creatures will not attack him either if he does the same, and he again asks that they allow him to go to other towns. The elders do not agree. Later that night, back at his house, Alice decides to tell Lucius a story about the other towns. Her father had gone to the market and was found naked and assaulted in a river days later. Alice is telling him this so that he can understand the nature of what he wants, but he explains that he does not want to do this for himself, but for the good of the village. He says that it is not he who has secrets, because secrets are everywhere in the village, such as the black box that Alice has and which he points out. Alice says that it is for his own good, to be safe from the bad things of his past, but without forgetting them. Lucius wants to open it. Alice refuses and tells him that they should talk to Edward. Lucius says that Edward feels something for Alice because he never touches her. The next day, a group of boys wearing yellow cloaks walk along the border between the village and the forest, painting a yellow line on the torch posts that separate both areas. Lucius is among them, and he does not return with everyone when they finish. Instead, he goes into the forest. It does not take him long to find the berries, and when he hears some growling, he looks to his side to see a creature moving away. He decides to return to the village after that. It is night when he arrives and finds Ivy outside her house. She tells him that she heard from her parents that Lucius wants to leave the village to look for medicine. She thinks it is noble, but not a good idea. She also informs him that her older sister is getting married, which means that she is now free to receive interest from anyone. We cut to the watchtower. Finton hears a noise and opens the hatch, believing it is Lucius, but it is one of the monsters. Then, after some hesitation, he begins to ring the bell to alarm the village. Everyone in the village runs to their houses to hide. While Lucius helps the villagers get to safety, Kitty quickly takes Noah, the children, and Ivy to the cellar, but Ivy stays at the door, waiting for Lucius. She extends her hand in front of her, and an approaching monster is about to take it when Lucius suddenly appears, grabs her hand, and pulls Ivy inside to hide with the rest of the family in the cellar. The next day, red marks are found on the doors of all the houses. The elders are holding a meeting with the villagers to try to figure out what happened. The marks are obviously a warning, but the creatures had never attacked without a reason before. When the elders ask if anyone knows anything, a written note is handed to them. It is a confession from Lucius, in which he admits that he went into the forest and that the creatures saw him. Edward goes to the back of the room where Lucius is crying and tells him that he has not been afraid. A couple of days later, the villagers celebrate Kitty's wedding. There is plenty of food, decorations, and dancing, but also a small ritual in which two men dressed in yellow cloaks leave some meat on a rock for the monsters. When Alice congratulates Edward on his daughter's marriage, she offers her hand for him to shake, but he does not accept it, which confirms Lucius's theory. Everyone is having fun at the celebration until the screams of some children are heard. The children are brought before Edward, who asks them what happened. They tell him that they saw the monsters in the village, leaving more warnings. They believe the creatures want them to leave. The celebration is cancelled. Edward makes everyone go home together to protect themselves. What they find in the village is terrifying. There are dead animals everywhere. The livestock has been skinned, hides and feathers are missing. On the barn door there are marks so high that not even a coyote could have made them, which confuses the elders. Meanwhile, Ivy wakes up in the middle of the night and goes outside. Lucius is there. sitting on her porch. She sits beside him and tells him that tomorrow there will be an investigation to find out how the boundary was violated. Lucius wants her to go inside because it is cold and not safe. She changes the subject. First, she asks Lucius if he thinks she is a tomboy. Then she mentions the bravery game, in which Lucius holds the record. She asks him how he can be so brave, to which he replies that he focuses on what needs to be done. Then she wonders if he will dance with her on her wedding night and why he does not express his thoughts more. Lucius gets a little angry. If he wanted to talk, he would, and if he wanted to dance with her, he would ask her. Most importantly, he admits that sometimes he also gets scared when he thinks that Ivy could suffer some harm. That is why he is on that porch. He fears for her safety more than for anyone else. Finally, he says yes, he will dance with her on her wedding night. Then they kiss. The next day, during the investigation, one of the villagers asks Alice if the news about Ivy and Lucius is true. Alice confirms that it is. Meanwhile, Ivy asks her sister for her blessing, because she does not want to do anything that would hurt her, and she is still more important than a boy. Kitty gives the couple her blessing and wishes them happiness. While the sisters are talking, Lucius receives a visit from Noah, who appears clearly upset by the news. Lucius knows that Noah also feels something for Ivy, but he is not allowed to say much before Noah stabs him twice. We cut to the Percys, who are preparing for the village meeting when Noah arrives at the house covered in blood and says that it is a bad color. The elders immediately learn of the incident and have all the villagers begin searching for the injured person. As soon as she learns that it was Noah who did it, Ivy guesses who might have been injured and rushes to Lucius's house to find his unconscious body on the floor. She kneels beside him and holds him, and when Edward arrives, she tells him that she cannot see Lucius's color. A couple of hours later, one of the elders tells the villagers that Lucius is holding on, but that he could die at any moment, so everyone must pray for him. Feeling angry after hearing this, Ivy goes to visit Noah at the house where he has been locked up and slaps him repeatedly. Her father has to pull her away by force. Noah is heard screaming and hitting things when they leave him alone and lock him up again. Sometime later, Ivy talks with her father and tells him that if Lucius dies, she will too, so she asks for permission to go to the towns to look for medicine. We cut to Edward speaking with the doctor to learn more details about Lucius's condition before making a decision. He has an infection, and they can only pray about it. Edward presses the doctor to give him a better answer about what could be done if they had resources. The doctor admits that Lucius would have a better chance if they could contain the infection. Alice takes Edward outside the house to speak with him in private, guessing what he has in mind, and reminding him that he made an oath that he must respect like the rest of the elders. Edward does not listen, and when Alice begins to cry, he hugs her. Edward returns to Ivy and takes her for a walk, where he tells her that his father had a gift for business, but that it was dangerous because money is a perverse thing that blackens people's hearts. That is why they do not have it in the village. Her grandfather died from a gunshot to the head while sleeping, and Edward tells Ivy all of this so that she can understand what he is about to show her. They arrive at an old shed that must not be used, and he asks her to try not to scream before taking her inside. Next, we see Ivy packing a bag for a journey and telling Lucius that she will go get him some medicine. Meanwhile, Edward meets with the other elders to tell them about this. We return to Ivy, who is waiting at the village limits wearing a yellow cloak. Finton and Kristoff join her wearing the same cloak. They approach the forest and Ivy raises a hand to show a small bag she is holding before the three of them enter. They only take a few steps before Finton stops Ivy to tell her that Kristoff is no longer following them. She tells Kristoff that they do not need to be afraid because they have the magic rocks, and Kristoff wonders why they had not heard about these rocks before. Finton begs him not to leave them, but Kristoff thinks it is too dangerous, so he returns to the village. A few hours later, while they wait for the rain to stop, Finton sees and hears something among the trees. He also becomes frightened and decides to return, leaving Ivy alone. Crying, she drops the magic stones to the ground. Then a flashback begins showing what had happened in the shed. There are monsters inside, or that is what Ivy thinks at first. In reality, they are costumes. Edward explains that everything is a lie. In the books he taught in the towns, there were rumors about creatures that lived in the woods. The screams in the forest, the theft of the meat that was offered, the hairless animal bodies, the drills, everything was a sham by the elders, a plan to keep people away from the forests. Their lies were not intended to cause harm, but Lucius's situation went too far, which is why he makes an exception with her. He gives her a pocket watch and a piece of paper with the names of the medicines she needs to acquire before giving her instructions on how to navigate through the forest and reach the towns. She must not tell anyone in the outside world about her village. Then Edward visits Alice to tell her that he has sent Ivy to the towns because this is all he can give her. We return to Edward's meeting with the elders, who are not happy with this decision. They accuse him of endangering everything they have created. Edward reminds them that they built this village to have hope and that he cannot allow another elder to lose his daughter. He also reminds them that they will not live forever. Ivy and Lucius are the perfect people to take their place someday. August gives in and tells everyone to let Ivy go. Back in the present, Ivy continues her journey through the forest. Unable to see the ground, she falls into a hole and only manages to save herself by hanging from a branch. She climbs out carefully and leans against a fallen tree for a second before walking again. She does not get very far when she hears a noise. After throwing a branch in that direction, the noises grow louder, so she begins to run until she stops in the middle of a field of red berries. A growl makes her turn around. One of the monsters is behind her. She tells herself that it is not real, but the creature goes after her, so she begins to run again. Finally, she crashes into the fallen tree from before, and that gives her an idea. She stays still and opens her arms, like in the game the village boys played on the stump, and when the monster is about to catch her, she steps aside and makes it fall into the hole. Back in the village, the Percys are visiting Noah, but they do not find him in the house. What they find is an empty hole in the ground, which means that Noah had found the monster costume hidden there and fled with it. When we return to the hole, we see that the mask had come off and that it was Noah who had been chasing Ivy. He dies in the hole. Ivy continues walking until she finally finds a path. After leaving her cloak and her bag on the ground, she quickly follows the path until she comes upon a very tall wall, which she climbs to reach the other side, finally leaving the forest. Back in the village, the elders are opening their black boxes to remember their past and the reason why they created the village. They used to live in the city, and they were all victims of some kind of violence. They met at a grief counseling clinic. Edward recruited them to create a place where they would be protected from any aspect of the outside world. A group photograph that Edward is looking at reveals something important. We are not in the 19th century. We are in the 21st century. Returning to Ivy, she is landing on the other side of the wall when a jeep with the logo, Walker Wildlife Preserve, parks next to her. A ranger named Kevin gets out of it, and believing Ivy to be a trespasser, tells her that she is not allowed to be there. Ivy tells him that she comes from the forest, something that is hard for him to believe, and asks for his help. She hands him the lists of medicines and the pocket watch so that he can pay for them. When he understands that someone is injured, he agrees to help since they have those medicines in the guard stations. Ivy is surprised by his kindness. She did not expect that from people in the outside world. Kevin returns to the jeep and drives to the guard station, where his superior greets him with some advice. He reminds him that it is an easy job. They only have to keep people away from the animal preserve and not disturb the forest. Kevin must not converse with any intruder, only patrol. His superior still remembers when a few years ago, planes were paid not to fly over that area. The press had already caused him enough stress. While the man goes back to reading his newspaper, Kevin steals some medical supplies and borrows the maintenance ladder. Shortly after, Ivy is back in the forest with her yellow cloak and returning home, while Kevin is on the other side of the wall with the ladder Ivy used to climb back and her pocket watch hanging on the rearview mirror. Moments later, the news of Ivy's return with the medicine reaches the elders, who are waiting beside Lucius's bed. They are also told that Ivy was attacked by a creature and that she killed it, which greatly upsets Noah's parents. Edward tells them that they will find him and give him a proper burial, and they will also tell the others that a creature did it. Noah's sacrifice has made the stories real and has given them the opportunity to continue with this place if that is what all the elders want. Everyone agrees with this plan. The film ends with Ivy entering the room and taking Lucius's hand to tell him that she has returned.